Well, we got the tank in. It was definitely a process. I probably could have done it by myself, but it would have taken a very long period of time. So I asked for the wife's help, and with her operating the jack and me underneath guiding it, it finally went in. This here is a kind of a representation of what we did. We put the jack in the middle of the tank, put a board to provide more support, and as we lifted it up a little bit, we put some wood underneath on either side, so we got to a point where we could rest the tank on the wood and allow enough room to connect the fuel lines and electrical lines. And one thing, when whoever's watching this, if you're doing it yourself or having troubles with it, make sure that the electrical line is not in line with where the straps will be placed, because it will get probably compressed and damaged. And also check your vent lines, make sure they're not in the way. And as we raised it up closer and closer, we just kept adding wood, because numerous times we had to lower the jack, move it back just a little bit to get the balance point more accurate, so when we lifted it up, it went up evenly. Because you have a very small space to get it within. You have to get it between these two I-beams. Hopefully you can see, because I can't see what I'm looking at. Between this I-beam and this I-beam, and between this support and one on the front. And it has to fit pretty much perfectly centered in there. And of course, once you do get it up there, you need to be able to support it with the jack while you pull the wood away and put the straps on and bolt it in place. But to tell you the truth, the biggest problem was the fill nozzle and the overflow nozzle. The tank has to be put in at an angle so that these two nozzles go in above the bottom portion of the I-beam. So it has to go in at an angle. So what we ended up doing was keeping the right side, as you're looking at it from the rear, down lower, minus a few pieces of 2x4, and the left side higher, and then jacking it up. And once it got to a certain point, I was able to manhandle it so the spout finally rested within the I-beam, and then jacked it up enough to support the whole thing with more wood, and then finally got it to a point that way that we could line everything up. So it was a lot of give and take, pushing and shoving, give and take, remove wood, add wood, lower jack, move jack, put jack back in a different place and jack it back up, add more wood, etc. It just was a little bit time consuming. Now this is on a pad without the vehicle jacked up itself, so just resting on its own tires. It has enough room to make it happen. It's just like I said, a bit of a chore. So then once you do get it in place and get the straps secured, getting these two hoses on the fill nozzles coming off the tank, well, once again, that's a bit of a chore because it's within the I-beam. So you have to reach up in various different ways. Long handle flathead screwdriver is very helpful, and because you got to get the worm gear clamps, you got to secure those, and of course you got to do it on the other side. This wasn't too bad, but the part within the I-beam, that's a pain in the butt. But eventually we got it. And of course, as you're going up, continue to monitor your fuel lines. Make sure that you don't put too much pressure on them, that you're going to damage them or get them out of alignment. So it can be done. Get out of here, mosquito. And eventually you'll get it if you just take your time. And now we have that in place. The next step is on the front, almost, I don't know, well, at least 4 vacuum lines are completely toast. And I'll show you. I'm using this wood to rest on as I'm up on top of it. These vacuum lines are very brittle and they're cracking. And you can see the previous repairs. I mean, there's a splice, there's a splice, there's a splice, 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 splice. So, and there's one that came off of here that goes over to here, and that completely crumbled into basically dust. So I had to buy 3 or 4 packs because they only sell them locally in 3-foot increments. And you think 3 foot is fine, but once you start cutting it, you soon find that you don't have enough. And I really want to decrease the amount of splices that I do. So I'm trying to get continual solid pieces. So I'm going through now and replacing these vacuum lines from various different components coming off the reservoir, off the intake, etc. After that, I think we'll probably replace the fuel filter, which is underneath the body, pretty much at the cab level, directly underneath the driver's side door. I'm going to replace that fuel line because I put a new fuel pump on it and I want to make sure it's clean. And then we'll add some fresh gas to it and see if the bloody thing will start. And then if we do get it starting at that point, it runs fine, which I hope it will. Eventually I'm going to be doing some more engine cleanup to get rid of some of this surface corrosion on the aluminum. But the other big thing is I've got to remove a tire, a dual tire set, and get to the brakes on one of these rear sides, which I do not remember. So it's going to be 50-50 hit here. But the parking brake cable has come loose, and there's a small metal component that the parking brake cable rides on, and I'm pretty sure one of them is not the right type. So I got to pull that out and check that. And with my luck, I'll pull off the wrong dual, discover it's the wrong one, and have to put it back on and then jack up the other side. Anyway, that's what's going to be happening next. So I'll talk to y'all later.